Lite, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Playing Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twadwazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mels 24, Unamento, M Iron 26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Melby Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Hello, Sensual Goat.
Good afternoon, how are you, Nathan?
Very well, how are you?
Excellent. I've worked 4 12-hour shifts and I got 4 days off. And it's given out nice for the 4 days, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
Excellent. Very nice, that sounds.
Which mic did you buy in the end? The ABBA one or the Beatles one?
That's not, my current fad is not actually that, believe it or not. I'm onto something slightly different. So Adam is in requirement of an audio interface, and he just asked me, hold on, I'm going to clear my throat. He said, what do I need to connect this microphone to the computer? I'm like, okay, so you don't have an audio interface. He's obviously using a USB mic, which is fine. So I just thought, can I recommend him a selection in varying price points that I know are all good? So yeah, I can do that in 5 minutes. I sent them to him and I'm like, I wonder which one he's picked. An hour later, he hasn't looked at the messages. I'm like, I know which one he should buy. I'll just buy it. So I just bought him one. I've got his address, so I've sent it to him. I don't know if he realises. So that's what I was doing for the last hour or so. Other than that, the stuff I was discussing, presumably you're in Master B, because you've got into this group, right? So you can see all the stuff I was faffing around with yesterday. I'm quite pleased with, in a way. I might have one item that's worth maybe 80 quid that's a paperweight. We'll find out when it gets here. We'll see. But other than that, I'm quite pleased with my my one purchase is an ABBA mic. Or not an ABBA mic. It's a mic that's similar to a mic that ABBA used. It's the same in the respect that it'll sound the same, but it doesn't have switches on it like the ones that were actually in the hands of ABBA. So it's a 300 series from the 70s by AKG. And I've bought one without switches because the switches are redundant to me. So the fact that it doesn't quite have the same nostalgia value of being the exact mic that ABBA used, like I give a crap, to me it's removing a redundant potential failure point, which is all the switches on it. So I ummed and ahed about getting the actual ABBA mic because of the nostalgia. Because I do like ABBA. I remember listening to it as a kid because my parents listened to it. But nevertheless, it's not that important to me. I don't care. From a point of view of what will it do as a tool, well, it may be in the hands of one of my daughters. That's the idea. I mean, I'll use it and test it, and it'll sit on a stand waiting for one of them to use. But I'm quite excited about that fact, especially the younger one who's very keen to be singing. So she's always picking up combs and hairdryers and holding them like a microphone. And even when I've sat her in front of various microphones that I do have and tried to position her and say, look, just stand there and sing, she can't help but go for the, the handheld mic thing. It's because she's 5, right? But I'm just saying, it's one of those that I know will be a tool that will be useful. And I know I like the sound of it. It's been kept in a box. There's various things about the one that I've bought. And these things aren't particularly expensive. I mean, I think that was less than 50 quid. But to me, it's like, I'm investing in tools for doing jobs in what I do, which is YouTubing and recording stuff. So having a selection of mics to do voiceovers, one for my daughter's podcast, my daily driver, which is this Neumann, and that's me investing back into the show. So I like the faff of utilising some of my old skills that might die out if I don't use them, like selling and buying. So being able to generate cash by flogging mics, which is essentially what I'm doing, because I don't have any surplus cash at all, as I'm sure you're acutely aware. So when I do things like this, in order to be able to do them without e-begging, I've got to get back into salesman mode and start selling things and buying things and, doing that wheeling and dealing, which I quite like, in a way, temporarily, in order to meet an ends, which is I want a slightly larger mic locker. I want a bit more versatility to be able to record things in different ways. Now, I've been doing it for 10 years. It's always weird. Whenever I'm buying things for work, which is what this is, I always feel slightly guilty. I don't know why I get that feeling, especially when my wife's around and I'm like buying something that might be £100, knowing that we're poor. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm investing in a tool. She's like, no, I get it. It's okay. It's fine. And, I'm already explaining before she's telling me off, because she's not. But I don't know, it's one of those weird feelings that even when you're buying and selling stuff in order to hopefully end up at zero, that's my ultimate aim, right? The ultimate aim is to have bought and sold a whole bunch of different microphones, had the opportunity to try them to see how good a tool they actually are, and then sell them, ideally at a profit, so that at the end of the process I end up with several new mics and having spent zero. That would be the absolute ideal, right? Having actually forked out nothing, just bought and sold and traded. So anyway.
Yeah, personally, I always feel a bit guilty haggling in person, especially in the market. I just feel, well, I'll just pay the price. But online, I'll haggle just like you to the penny.
You're having a laugh, right? I will haggle harder in person, far harder, because that means I'm more motivated to take the thing away because I can take it away easily. So, for example, when I bought that Lexus piece of crap, which was old and tired, I ended up spending maybe £750 or £800 for a car, which is ludicrously cheap. Well, in order to get it for that price, I had to turn up early, get the keys off the owner's mother, turn the car over, leave it in the heat with the air conditioning on. So when the guy eventually arrived, I'm like, I think it might have a leak. It's like, what are you talking about? Went under the car, pointed at the water dripping off the air conditioning unit because it had been on for half an hour. Went, I don't know. So when it came to the negotiation, I'd pointed out every single fault with that car because I'd spent about, I don't know, at least half an hour, probably an hour, going over it with an absolute fine-tooth comb. So in spite of it already being cheap because it was a crap box, I wanted it even cheaper. And that's always the case with everything I buy ever. I'm more than content to tell you, I don't mean to insult you and then give you a 3-page rendition of an insulting description of the thing you're selling, which is highly insulting. But obviously I'll preface it with, I'm not intending to insult you. I'm not. I just want your thing cheap. And this is how I know I'll get it cheap. So there we go. There we go. I bought things. I started off my buying experience, right, being taught how to buy houses. So I went from being a basic negotiator, which is someone who tries to get people to buy houses, which is to say you put them in front of them, which is dead easy, to being a lister, somebody who puts them on the market. Far more difficult job, far more skilled. That was like my career ladder to becoming a rep. I had to get a job as a recruitment consultant, but I couldn't get that job unless I'd worked in a similar field, which was a estate agency, as a buyer. So once I got that job, I could get business-to-business experience in a similar trade, which was recruitment, to get a job which I actually wanted, which was going around the world as a rep. So I had a very distinct career path in mind when I started working, because I wanted to be a rep. I basically wanted to fly all around the world for free, and that was my way of doing it. So I had a plan. My path included buying. So I got trained how to buy houses. Now, the mentality when people buy houses, I used to say, oh, well, it's different when you buy houses because people's mentality changes when it's huge sums of money. You can get them to make weird buying decisions because it's huge sums of money. Well, as I've got older, I've realised that's not true. People behave the same no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a pound or 500 grand. The mentality's always the same. It's nuts. So you can exploit that if you're purchasing things. And obviously, I want to buy mics and try them. I haven't got a locker full of mics or a friend with a studio to try them all, and I haven't got enough money to rent these things to try them out. So the only way I can do it feasibly is put the graft in, basically. It's my time. So all weekend, that's what I've been doing, looking at buying microphones on the cheap and flogging them for a profit, which I've been doing for 2 months now. I'm sure you're acutely aware. Keep boring people with them. But yeah, if you're an audience member, you're like, why this disclosure? It's because obviously me putting videos up about mics, it's like, well, I haven't got $4,000 to keep buying microphones. I have to keep churning them, but hopefully getting them cheap to churn them at a small profit, because then I can keep doing it.
Let's talk about the idiocy we heard on Saturday.
Microphone related.
No, those two numpties. And by the way, I heard that word numpty in a show I started watching called Mobland. So what's his name is in it? That guy, freaking my wife likes him. It's an English actor. He played Venom. Tom Hardy. It's a gangster movie, but I heard one of the guys say numpty. I thought QE came up with that word.
No, numpty's really old. My sister calls us, me, the family, her kid, generally, numpty when we do something silly. So that's a term that I've heard all my life because my sister's used it as long as I can remember. I mean, I use it too, but she just happens to use that particular word rather than something a bit more gross. So it's quite a feminine
but it's
word.
from England. It's an England slang, right?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
It's more for children.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. My sister uses it because it's a softer term. I was going to say it's more feminine. It's not necessarily feminine. It's just more soft. It's not as wanker or dickhead
Offensive.
or... Those are a bit too strong to say around kids. Numpty's fine.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I have a question, if you don't mind. I've been down with pneumonia for about 3 weeks.
Oh, cool. Sounds horrible. Is it about microphones?
No, say again?
Is it about microphones? He says, excitedly.
Yeah.
It is? Wow.
Hey, so I saw a new music video that was out about our old pal, Witsit. Did he finally explicitly admit he's a baller?
I'm not up to date with the Witsit current events, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry.
Tell us more.
Yeah, you tell me. Sounds like you're more up to date with this stuff than I.
Well, I'm not sure. I just saw this music video that had, I'm sure it was AI generated, but it seemed to indicate that that he jumped off the flat Earth and hit some sort of ball-tard like Sharon did. But then again, sometimes these accusations are fun, but not serious.
I have no idea. I mean, like I say, you know more than I, by the sounds.
Nathan, you said it before. You got to listen to the words people say. He always says, well, it's not flat. Then he goes on to explain how it's measured flat. But his first words are, it's not flat.
I mean, well, let's work our way through this, right? Number one, do you care what Witsit believes? That's step one.
I just think it's more funny watching the meltdown of all the Jarenists and the Shitsonites.
Are you one of them? Or are you one of
No,
us?
you got to call them the shitites.
Oh, Neil, bloody hell.
Oh no, I'm far away from Shitsidite or a Jaronite.
Fair enough. Then it's inconsequential to you, but you're just intrigued. No, that's fair enough. I'm not trying to pin it on you like, oh, well, you must be deeply concerned with this. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just... There's a camp of people, as you say, that are losing their minds because they felt that the opinions of Jaron or Whitsitt were consequential to an Earth that's measured flat. Now, we know the last part of that statement, and therefore all opinions from men are kind of inconsequential to the world that breaks down because it's flat, and that's how we deal with it. Measure it, build on it, fly over it, sail on it, map it, chart it. So who gives a crap what Whitsitt says? That's my attitude.
No, I just think the whole thing's a big hoot because all the vitriol and such that surrounded anybody who ever questioned Shitsit or Jaron, it's those people have kind of run off like cockroaches. So I think the whole thing's kind of hilarious more than anything else.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's nice in a way that we're already detached, as much as it was painful each time they threw scorn our way or moreover the public's way. So by inference they're hearing, the public that is, how terrible we are by people like Jaron and Bob and Globebusters, and for whatever reason they were pouring poison in people's ear long before this all happened. Well, obviously people have divorced themselves from us along that process, so anybody who stayed is well aware of Earth being measured flat in today's rhetoric from Flat Earth debate, rendering all arguments about Antarctica or Jaron and Whitsitt's position thereafter kind of irrelevant, which is nice because we're not being attacked on all sides by people who go, what about this midnight sun? It's like we kind of went, well, what about it? The angles measured to it were flat and you needed a flat Earth to get there. What are you asking us about this for? Did you want to affirm the consequent? So that was our attitude towards it. But again, if you were around us at the time, you knew long before this came to a head because we were shouting it from the hilltops. So anybody that might have been today pouring scorn on people like Jaron, Whitsitt and their detractors, people who are deserting them, whatever, those people had already heard us shouting from the hilltops, where's your hypothesis and things like that, and long since strayed away from us because they don't want to be near us because attacking us isn't a good idea. So we didn't get any of it. But yeah, what you're looking in from a side that goes, hold on, I can look in on those people who are Whitsittites and Shitsittites and Jaronites or whatever you called them and go, this is interesting. How are they reacting? What's he telling them now? Is he slowly drip feeding his detachment from a flat Earth that he believed in? Certainly seems to be the case from what you're alluding to. But like I say, I'm not up to date with the Shitsit debate kind of guy.
Yeah, and still, regardless whether there's a midnight sun around Antarctica or not, I don't look at the lights in my house. I know this is an old quip we use. I don't look at the lights in my house to tell me the shape of my floor. You don't look up to figure out what's beneath your feet. That's just...
Not necessarily so. I mean, if you're navigating with them, you definitely do. If you're charting, mapping, surveying, you can use all of these things like lights in the sky for positional information, and we do. Now, sure, but you're right. You don't have to necessarily directly correlate a heliocentric motion with a ball Earth when you say that statement, which is what you're trying to detract from. A heliocentric assertion of the lights in the sky forming the heliocentric ground beneath our feet, rather than their base measurements of a flat Earth that actually form that heliocentric worldview about the lights in the sky. So I get where you're coming from. It's just they typically will use that against us and go, oh, really? Well, what about you saying celestial navigation needs a flat Earth? Yeah, we do say that, because it does, and those processes save lives at sea. You stating that you've got a heliocentric worldview with the massive, huge speeds and the distances derived from flat Earth measurements of lights in the sky is why people say we don't have to use the lights in the sky to suggest we're on a sphere Earth, as our opponents often do.
There's a part of me that thinks it must be nice to be able to just have blind faith and just go with whatever the guy in the white lab coat tells me. Must be really nice just to live your life like that and clock in, go do your job for 8 hours. If you've got one, clock out, move on with life, and it must be really, really nice.
What, to be an NPC?
Yeah, I mean,
kind of did that anyway.
it must be really nice to be an NPC and just live your life, and then you retire and wait to die. And I mean, that must be really nice.
No, I don't know. I find small joy in other things like microphones currently. But there's an end goal for me in terms of life and communicating how life really is because of the childlike wonder I got from it when I first experienced the subject of flat Earth. That's the subject of the YouTube channel, and that's what I get out of life currently, and that's really joyful for me. Sometimes people will tell me the kind of goosebumps that they've had through experience that I've had similar, and I can relate to, from watching my show. And again, that's by transference. I get to feel that way again for a small time, right? So it's interesting because our opponents seek pain relief, whereas what I do, I actually do for the sort of, it's almost like a drug in a way when I sarcastically talk about being a crackhead, which I'm not, but, very Moorish, yes, more crack. That's a joke, but a joke that relates to me seeking that out, that feeling that you get, that euphoric feeling that you had when you first find out that the world isn't as you thought. Now, if you're anything like me, you kind of had a sceptical outlook to begin with about it. Something wasn't quite right. Chocolate's definitely someone who can relate to me on this level. Like, you always kind of were scratching your head and squinting your eyes whenever you heard something heliocentric, going, yeah, I understand it, but I don't really think it makes sense. So I was like that. So when you come across this subject, suddenly there's a childlike wonderment about the Earth that you can't replicate. The more you found out, or more I've found out since then, the more you go, wow, the world's the way it is because it's the way it is because of people. And people are shitbags and they lie to themselves, and that leads to crazy, weird lies. And it's just a bonkers world because people are weird. There's no hidden hand, and people have created this idea of that notion, the powers that should not be, the they that people describe, and the lies that people describe, them telling, are all imaginary. It's you and you alone, and your internalizing will lead you to salvation. You realising that it's you lying to yourself about some of these things that you feel an etheric entity has lied to you about. It's all nonsense. It was you all along. Ignorance is bliss. And you're saying, wouldn't it be nice to be an NPC? You're like, no. The more you go along, the more you realise that there's a lot of people bullshitting about a world they don't really understand fully. And then after they've bullshitted, they just want to try and skirt over it so people don't find out. And there are occasionally geniuses that do make significant discoveries and advance humanity, often through methodology like the scientific method, but often they're not self-indulgent enough to care or want to shout about it. It's the next man along who wants to utilise that to his own ends that will shout in lieu of the guy that's actually come up with a decent idea. So in a way, it's a rich fabric that does actually benefit humanity eventually, but seldom do the people who put the work in get the credit. That's not the world we live in. So, I don't know, I find the world fascinating. And doing this show brings it to a head every single day for me. So it's a great life that we lead as flatties. But I don't want to go back to being an NPC to round out this point. I wouldn't want to go back to the plodding through and not being that kind of, does this NASA photo when I'm hoping to see a picture and it says image created by NASA, should this not sit with me right? When I used to see those things, I'm like, no, I don't want to plod through as an NPC not noticing that little watermark in the bottom left-hand corner created by NASA. I'd rather be acutely aware.
Hey, but I mean, think about it. You can clock in, get all your needs provided for you, and never have to think ever again. I mean, gosh.
I did that temporarily.
It would be...
I did that temporarily. So in the interim, right, so I went from a manager of a pawnbroker in my local town, right, to wanting to do YouTube. So I was making YouTube videos in the pawnbroker. The owner of the store, I was the store manager, but the owner kept telling me off. He'd come in and he'd see me making a video about a product. He'd be like, what are you doing? Just sell it. And I'd be like, I'm putting the video on the listing in eBay and the video will help it sell. That was my excuse because I just wanted making videos. And if I had an excuse to take a bike out, put it next to a pretty bit of the town and take a video of it, so it can go on the eBay listing, so I was telling the owner. It was just me wanting to make videos, really. But in any event, there was a transitional period where I clocked in and clocked out with my wife. So she was working at one of the local superstores, and she was a manager transitioning out of the job. But she's like, I can get you a job as a driver. So me, having been a rep before being a pawnbroker, wanted to be driving or like that aspect of repping, and I was like, I'll deliver groceries, I'll drive around. So as a part-time job, I got a job as a driver so I could transition full-time into YouTube. But I couldn't just go from a full-time job to YouTubing. That's I don't think there's anybody out there that can just do that. I mean, there might be exceptions, but generally you can't just do that. So I had to have an interim job, which was clocking in, and they gave you your pension, they sorted it all, they got their peasants insurance on you in case you die. It's that life. It's even more dark if you look into that when you're clocking in and doing a 9 to 5. Oh, very dark indeed. But just not from your perspective when you're clocking in and clocking out and you think they love you and they want you to go up the ladder. What a joke.
Can I say something?
No doubt, my friend. Well, hey,
society
I'm going to bounce out of here. Have a good
Central.
morning. I pulled up the office.
Go on, Barrington. You've round out. Central wanted to get a word in, but it was you I was chatting to directly.
No, I was just going to say, have a good morning. I appreciate cutting up. I always do. So have a good morning and a good show today. I'm here at the office, so I'll see you soon, my friend. And everyone else, have a great morning, all.
Oh, thank you very much. You've been inspirational. Go ahead, Central.
Just to defend the NPC, that society is run by people clocking in and clocking out. So if you want toilet rolls in your bathroom, if you want tinned soup in your cupboard, you need people getting up in the morning and going to work and doing their job. So, and if we're lucky and they have time to consider the nature of Earth and the conversations around it, then we're here for them.
Absolutely. No, I don't disagree one bit. I've worked at every end of the scale. Like a job that paid a ton of money, flying around dealing with royalty, or extremely wealthy people dealing with frivolous things like recording music in high-end studios with gear costing hundreds of thousands of pounds, right the way down to stacking beans on shelves in supermarkets and being a pawnbroker, which to me is lower than being a supermarket shelf stacker. Being a pawnbroker is one step lower. It's the lowest. That's as low as it gets as far as I'm concerned. Not just retail, pawnbroking. Retailing second-hand stuff and trying to stiff people to squeeze a few pence out of them as they're poor. On the other hand,
this is the best job so far, though?
What, sorry?
Would you say what you're doing now is the best job so far?
Easily done this longer than any other job I've ever held ever. So after when you know you're doing something but for the love of it, it's not work anymore, is it? Even people in the comments are like, get a job. I'm like, this is my job. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, this is what I do for a living. And I've done for about, 10 years? Well, prior to that, I think the longest job I've held down was... Go on.
People are telling you to get a job? Are they out of their freaking minds?
No, most people have a job, Neil, but they don't see YouTubing as a job because you can just pick up a phone and make a YouTube video. So when people actually make a living from it...
That's their freaking problem, though. Do you question what they do for a living? Holy shit.
No, I'm normally saying thank you to them for giving me money.
Oh, wait, they give you money? Then they're allowed to say, get a job.
No, I'm not saying the people who tell me to get a job give me money. The people who appreciate what I do for a living give me money. But the difference being that the people who give me money aren't millionaires. They're not anything other than sort the other people who are doing jobs, right? Normal people give me money to do what I do. So I'm extremely privileged. That's why I'm always giving lengthy thanks to the people who do actually support me. And sometimes, although I'm not bitter about this particularly, I do see other people who do the same as me, YouTubers that is, who don't extend the same sort of gratitude. And it's like the people who support you are normal people. You know, the people who are putting $20 in the super chat, for instance, that's normal Joe who's worked hard for that money. Do you know what I mean? That represents an hour's time in a job for that guy. Now, I appreciate that, having, like I say, worked at every end of the extreme. Even when I was completely out of work and having to, even lower than pawnbroking, doing the flogging stuff on eBay myself because I'm between jobs and you've got to keep the mortgage paid. So you like round up every bit of tat that you've got in your life and sell it off. You know, that's kind of like this, right? You end up with a little bit of float, for me, a few £100 spare, literally. Somebody had given me a small chunk of money, and I'm like, I want to invest in myself with a bit of work and use this to churn a few microphones to find good ones, to improve my sound and give me a few extra jobs that I can do. Notice I've segued back onto mics. I know what I want to be talking about.
No, but my point is, it's none of your business. Same thing with when they were accusing me of e-begging. You're not giving me any money, so mind your freaking business.
But that brings back nicely to, well, why do you care about Witsit, right? So, live and let live. What's Witsit's concern? If you do concern, if that guy, Barrington guy, had gone, yeah, I do actually, I'm really concerned with what Witsit's saying and doing. Like, well, why? Why does this other man and his business concern you so much?
No, that's different. That guy can lead a lot of people astray.
That's the next step. That was the next question. Exactly. So are you concerned with the others being influenced by Witsit? That was my next question, but we never got there because the answer was no. So it's just discuss Witsit in terms of him as an individual and whether or not we agree, disagree, what's his topic. It's the same as ours and aligns with Earth and the nature thereof. Therefore, he's inconsequential. We've got measurements. That's how Earth's dealt with. Doesn't really matter about anybody's opinion there after that, right? Who cares? We've already said it.
Hey Nathan, if the conversation dries up a bit, there's 3 videos it must be.
Oh, okay.
And Neil, would you rather metaphorically punch Danny Faulkner or Planet Peterson in the face?
No need. That's definitely a terms of service violation.
I said metaphorically, and you said that
I
the other
heard
day.
metaphorically.
That's why I said it.
It's dangerously close to the line, though. Neither. Why would you feel like you want to be aggressive to anybody?
Because Danny Faulkner is a liar.
So,
and he deserves a fucking amount.
So what? So you'd feel like you'd want to go around punching people because they're liars? Well, punch everybody then. You'd never end. You'd be non-stop. You'd need a little punching machine because your arm would get tired out immediately the moment you opened your front door, Neil. What are you babbling about? What's this video? Some same old flat earth talking points for our Planet Peterson. Is that what you wanted me to cover?
Well, I'll put it to Neil if he'd rather Danny Faulkner or Planet Peterson.
Now, Danny Faulkner will get me very angry. Put on this meatball.
He's your brother in Christ, Neil.
No, he is not.
Yes, he is.
No, he is
He's a
not.
Yes, he is. I'm afraid he is. You don't have to like this fact. My God, why are you denying this?
He's in heresy, that's why.
Well, then you better help him out as your brother in Christ, eh?
We've tried, and maybe if he continues to sit in and stop just getting materials, he can write a book to make more filthy lucre on lies, then we'll see.
Maybe he doesn't see it that way. Maybe he thinks he's helping everybody out. Surely. Hanging around, right? Comes in here infrequently. He's getting the lowdown. Should recognise.
He's got to put his love for money aside.
Why?
And he's got to come to terms with what the Bible. Because if you're going to stand there and represent Christ, and you want to be Christian,
Stop.
You can't go around promoting a heliocentric system.
Somebody
that
Christian help me out. Pull the log out of your own eye Before you try and pull
I have.
Splinter out of his.
I have.
Oh,
Hold
yeah.
on, Nathan. I have. I had a log of ball in my eye. But I came to terms with it. I saw it. It's nowhere in Scripture. Anyway, in Scripture, it's basically telling you that it's not a ball. Where do you see in Scripture anything pertaining to ball besides circumference of the earth, circle of the earth, and hangeth on nothing? Which that doesn't mean space anyway. Nowhere.
I'm
Right.
sure Dr. Danny Faulkner, as soon as he's finished his lunch, will be back to answer Adam's questions.
I remember that. He got out of there quick, boy. Is it showtime already?
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Me, I'm all right. How are you all doing? You had a good weekend? How's Discord doing? Chatty as ever?
Hello.
Hello, good to have you all. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon formerly known as Earth curve.
Well, from what I hear, if you're flying a plane, even up to 50,000 feet high, you can see Earth curve.
What?
Yeah, I was going to say what?
Good morning.
Yeah, that's what I heard Saturday. The pilot said 100%.
100%. Is it?
So do we go by what people say now? Is that it? So trust me, bro. I'm saying I see Earth curve, therefore just take my word for it. If it's
He's
an
a
error,
pilot. He's an experienced pilot. He knows better.
Is that
Neil
yes, then?
deGrasse Tyson is not.
is that a yes?
Yeah, I guess some people buy it. You know,
But the
we
flight,
know Earth is meant to
we've got,
flat.
yes, we've got flight data though, have we not? We can acquire the information regarding the flight and how it's logged, charted, measured. Flat, Neil. So, given that the data coming from black boxes shows just how flat Earth really is, with measurements, I don't really care what the pilot says.
I agree 100% with you. And I said it Saturday. This is all for ball cope. It's to help the ballers cope with the fact that they know that Earth is flat. They knew it all along. Now they just need some medicine. So you get a guy like a pilot to say, I've seen Earth curve, yes, from 50,000 feet, 100%. Now they can cope with things.
Yeah, you have to repeat the lie often. So we're getting involved with a lie that's being repeated by people who want to believe it in a self-perpetuating cyclical lie about a heliocentric world that cannot exist given how we measure Earth. And given that we measure Earth as a flat surface, everybody's going to be acutely aware of it if they've ever dealt with Earth and its surface. So that's going to be cognitively difficult if you are under the religious belief that Earth's actually spherical when you know you're measuring it flat. Now, as you look into Earth and how it's spherical because you want to affirm that bias, you quickly find out that no, those aspects wouldn't be spherical. In this case, you're saying seeing Earth curve from altitude. So you get contradictory opinions. A man says, that's so big, it's flat, or that stuff is flat, Tyson. And another guy says, I see the curve from my aeroplane. All right, well, let's just go to the measurements. Oh, what do you know? Flat as always. Yeah, Earth's measured flat. In all respects, in every single person's viewpoint, doesn't matter what they look at it as, it's measured flat. It's dealt with flat, flown over flat, sailed on flat, charted flat. So who gives a crap what the pilot says? Who gives a crap what Tyson says? Earth's flat.
I agree 100%. And what video you should be going over is Fisherman in a Box from Sunday. He was doing O'Brien's video, our own Brian. How he caught Bob the Science Guy saying the exact same thing Brian was saying. And now he's
I'm sorry.
contradicting it.
I'm sorry. How is this any of our problem?
Isn't.
If all of a sudden that we're being told we could see curvature from globe head pilots, right? That would be a problem with all the defenders of this globe nonsense who want to tell us it's too big to measure that very curve that he's talking about. We're seeing again all of a sudden. Maybe they need to work that out before come checking us, because that sounds like a problem within their own crappy story paradigm narrative. So
Well,
yeah,
that's it. They're not debunking anything. They're just putting information out there that's false, and other ballers will just grab onto it and say, "Yeah, see, even a pilot said it."
yeah.
Cold medicine.
Keep doing it. Keep making your own side look crazy as shit. When half of y'all are running around like it's too big to measure the curve, and the other half are like, we can see the curve from a plane. Okay, have fun with that. When your very high priest astrophysicist tells you can't see that shit from about 24 miles up, that's a problem for you guys.
It
not
isn't.
us.
Yeah, well,
We're
it's
over
a
here
problem.
chilling.
It's a problem, and it isn't, because their issue is created out of necessity on the globe side as well. There's plenty of dissonance between ballers. Now, when you get this reported back from the servers that are ball believing, you're like, oh, that's interesting. So there's plenty of dissension amongst the ranks and arguments amongst ballers about how it should be ball-shaped. Okay, fair enough. Well, that makes perfect sense. You need it to be argued about whether or not you can see Earth curve from altitude or can't see Earth curve from altitude. So it's kept in that argument on the ball side, similar to how we're kept in these stupid arguments. Meanwhile, whether a pilot says he can and Tyson says he can't, or, contrapositive, Tyson says you can see it at altitude from the ISS, right? Or the guy says you can't see it even if he's got Earth curve maths in it. Who cares? Earth's measured flat. Let's look at Earth curve measurements. Oh, what do you know? They rely on Earth being flat too. Surface level, parallel with eye level. You'll need a flat Earth for both of those to exist at all, ever. So Earth's going to be flat when we start measuring it and asserting we've got Earth curve. What about height of Earth curve? Well, off surface level for the altitude assertion. You'll need a flat Earth for that too. Every bit of this requires the surface of Earth be a flat plane to detail these aspects of what men might or might not see at height measured off a flat Earth. So it's totally inconsequential, but it keeps the ballers in this same cognitive loop of arguing about it from within their paradigm that they do believe in. We're given feast of nonsense arguments to argue about how it's not working from outside the paradigm, but we'll still be arguing about it. Who gives a toss? Earth's measured flat. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
How could there be axial rotation if Earth is flat, Nathan? It's a silly question.
Well, axial rotation's always described flat, so if you want to assert that Earth as a globe's got an axial rotation, you'll need a flat plane to describe it. What do you think a non-inertial turning reference frame is? Do you think that's spherical? Absolutely not. Flat plane. Describing inertial planes of reference. Right, Neil? Rotations describe flat. We can take angular descriptions of the sky, and do. We take those measurements. Got a flat sky, though, when we measure those angles. We can create a model afterwards. We can depict it spherically, hemispherically, from any position. You can create a second model, sandwich it antipodal, and have a dome, spherically, of the heavens. It's on screen now, right? That's what we can create. But you've got to start somewhere. You start by measuring the sky flat, with a flat ground, and then you take a log of the angles that you measure. Well, you're going to need a flat ground for those angles as well. That's your starting point. As long as you've got a principle that you can utilise, that the ground's flat and the sky's flat, parallel with it. And as you raise in altitude, that remains consistent. Eye level. Yeah, it's level, yeah, it's parallel with the ground, yeah. Everything we do always relies upon Earth being flat. Axiomatically. Doesn't matter what you do if you take measurements. You're going to need Earth to be flat. Horizontal, perpendicular, everything. Built into the axioms of measuring things. Miles, distances, speeds, it's all related to a flat Earth. Everything. All roads lead to a flat Earth, always, without exception. Flat planes of reference to describe rotation are no exception.
The other day at the job, I had to build something, and and the instructions, the final instruction was, because it's one of those things where you build it upside down. So the final instruction on the sheet of paper was, flip the device around and set on a level surface. And I had a little chuckle to myself, like, like, so there are people that would tell me that this would mean a curved surface. Just had a little laugh to myself about it, because I was just like, this is how ridiculous these people are.
Yeah.
Like, the simple instructions just say level, and we all know what that means until a certain conversation starts, and then all of a sudden it's curved. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous because it defies the axiomatic principle that the instruction relies upon to be clear and accurate and concise for you to do something functionally. Yeah? Functionally,
Exactly.
you require that axiom. So when someone says levels curved, you can't violate the law of non-contradiction. So no. But every globe belief is just that. It's based on a defiance of an axiomatic principle of level.
And the social rejection and humiliation that they should feel for doing that is then projected onto us.
Yeah,
How
if
lovely.
they, very well put, if they internalise that fear of a recognition of the earth they know to be flat, their concerns of the ridicule stop them from internalising and recognising any of their preordained notions of earth being spherical, because it's actually very much aware to them flat. We're talking about the people that deal with us on a daily basis. If they've looked into the subject at some point, they'll have told themselves, oh, that's only flat because it's so big. No, it's only so flat because you're measuring it. And it must be so. But you'll justify it because it's big. Yeah. Everyone in this subject knows it's flat. That's my contention currently. Unless someone's going to come along and say, no, I'm in this subject and I have never once uttered the words, oh yeah, we'll be measuring that bit flat, but that's only because it's so big. Ask yourself, have you ever said that? Have you ever justified why you'd need it to be flat in any circumstances? Just think, if you're a boiler listening to this right now. So big it's flat? Really? Is that the measurement that's flat that you'll need? Absolutely, yes, of course it is. Because it's flat. Earth is flat. Shock and awe, horror. They're idiots. They don't understand this not seeing ball based on what this pilot's told me. They just don't understand as I project out that fear. Meanwhile, Earth's flat. That's how it's measured. Deal with it. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
The way that I can measure that is from a flat plane.
I don't think you can measure the distance to it. You can get the altitude
Yeah,
down.
what's the distance? Sorry, Nathan. If you could measure it from a flat plane, then I should have a distance, no?
No, we don't have a
Well,
distance.
altitude in celestial is not a height, it's an angle.
Yeah, so we won't get the distance from that. It's just an angle, as Bev would say. The altitude angle, i.e. the angle that you'd measure to a star in the sky or the sun. Like over an Antarctic plane, if you're going to observe the sun above the horizontal for 24 hours straight, you'll be measuring two straight lines to form an angle measurement of the sun. That's an altitude angle or elevation angle. Well, it doesn't tell you how high the sun is. It tells you the angle of the sun when measuring what you could call its altitude, because it's the angle measured for its altitude with respect to the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. Any scientific evidence of gravity? $50 people watching. If you happen to be watching this and have stumbled your way into this show, 59 people watching, then you can join. There is a link beneath this video, and if you want to express your views on the nature of Earth because you're aghast at the flat descriptions of the measurements Earth will always have, then you can join the Discord server. You have to be voice verified by clicking the link underneath the video, and you can express your views. Tell me how wrong I am, how globe-shaped it's definitely being measured. Of course. So feel free to join if you wanted to. I know I say it at the beginning of the show, but often there's very few people watching as soon as I press the start button. But with a handful of people watching, the rest of you, thank you very much for sharing the show. The only reason we've got almost 60 people watching is because regulars who come along smash the share button. So if you've not done so already, please smash the share button. Stick it on your favourite social media platform, be that Bebo or MySpace or Skype or whatever it is you're using. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Do they even work in hypotheses?
They've got plenty of phenomena to study.
Well, how are they going to vary it?
That's not my bad, is it? I'm not in those fields, but if you see a phenomena, you can easily suggest a cause for the phenomena you've observed and vary and manipulate it in an experiment, if you choose to. That's just not what those fields do, and you know it and I know it.
So it's not science.
No.
I mean, it's a hell of a grift, right? Just, look at all types of phenomena, make up a story of it, of what's going on in your head, and then tell it to people, and then you get paid for that. Look at that.
Pretty sweet. Just so stories. That's right, Neil. Probably on Thursday, I would suspect. Oh, he's dropped. Well, that's probably for the best, I would suggest. What about any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
I mean, the farthest we've ever dug was about 7-8 miles, right?
Yeah. Kola borehole out in Russia somewhere. I think it's about 8 miles, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, about 7 and change.
Almost 40,000 miles.
There's just a little bit to go then.
They'll get there.
I don't think they will. They kept on destroying the little bits that they have. I say little, they're not tiny, but they got so deep and they just didn't go any deeper. It's almost like chewing through chewing gum. From some of the things I've read about it. Meanwhile, any evidence of a molten iron core? At the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, of course. Or any evidence of the R value, Earth radius itself, at 3959 miles.
None that haven't been black swanned away.
Yeah, we destroyed the radius in 2028. Well, what about any evidence you can acquire, as we were discussing them a moment ago? An elevation angle measurement, like to the sun, over an Antarctic plain, for an example, with a curved baseline.
Even if they could, they don't. It's always from level.
Yeah, all elevation angles, always. Including but not limited to the ones that create a ball, for people who might be watching this now, believing. Yeah, you'll create that ball fascination and belief, I should say, not relief, belief, with flat Earth elevation angle measurements. That's the origin of your belief in a ball. What about any evidence that you can have gas pressure, like we're all breathing, without a container? So there must be containment. That's right. Anybody who doesn't realise the implications. Go ahead, whoever that was. Adam. Okay, fair enough. Did you want to add something, Adam? Maybe not. I think that's it. Did we cover them all? Is that all the housekeeping questions? Gas pressure without a container was the last one, I think.
Pitch data.
Any evidence you can have pitch data on a globe? That Liam who whispered that.
Yeah, and no. Pitch data proves that Earth is flat.
That is the most recent addition, though, isn't it? To be fair to me. Go on, Adam. Are you just going to add the crackling each time? You're opening your mic and crackling and not saying anything, Adam.
I didn't notice. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, it's the most recent housekeeping question. Any evidence that you can have pitch data on a globe? Clearly not. We do have a video to cover. Go on, whoever that was, Adam.
I said it was just up and down over level. I'm sorry if there's a delay. I see it now.
Yeah, we'll be measuring it with respect to level, no matter what we're measuring. So we do have a video to cover today. Although I do want to talk about what I've been doing over the weekend, 'cause I've been buying nostalgic pieces of equipment to play with. So over the last couple of months, I've been boring the pants off everybody talking about the various different microphones I've been buying to do various different tasks. So pretty much all of the things that I need a microphone for are covered now. My mic locker, if you want to call it that, has got every element that I need covered. So I've got this, which I'm talking to you through now, a shotgun mic. I've got a little gooseneck mic that's for my daughter to do her little podcast when she plays the games. She likes putting YouTube videos together because she likes being like Daddy, which is really sweet. So I've got a little gooseneck mic for her, and then I've got a mic that I use to do voiceovers on edited videos, which is like a large diaphragm mic. Other than that, I've got one which is surplus that I bought to try and didn't like, which is on eBay. And everything else that I bought in the meantime that you might have seen me making videos about has already been sold on eBay, including my old shotgun mic, my old Rode mic that typically this show was made with. Along the process, I've also bought all sorts of interfaces and sold various different bits and bobs that go along with these mics to make them work for anybody who's doing the same as I, making podcasts or making music on a computer or whatever they're doing. So today's purchase was actually for Adam. So I sent Adam a cheap Chinesium mic that was ripping off a Sennheiser, and he's received that. And he's like, how do I plug it in to the computer? Because it's an XLR mic that needs phantom power. I'm like, oh, okay. So I've gone and ordered him an audio interface, which will hopefully arrive with him by the end of the week, for him to then say, how do I get the software to work? And so on and so forth. So that was my most recent purchase today. But over the weekend, I bought a couple of mics that were a bit more nostalgic. One that will inevitably stay in my mic locker, if you want to call it that, which will be for my younger daughter, who's becoming more and more keen on singing, as opposed to the eldest daughter that likes podcasting. So she's always picking up hairdryers and fake singing into them. So I've bought a 1970s version of a mic used by ABBA. So they're seen in all sorts of pictures holding this mic that was also used by Gorbachev and various other European dignitaries when they were talking into mics at podiums. So this particular mic has got a version of it that I've bought nice and cheap on eBay for that purpose. But while I was looking for that mic, just a nice dynamic mic, I came across an old and fragile bit of memorabilia, if you will, which was a Beatles microphone, one that was famously used in Abbey Road on almost everything to record the Beatles. And, you know, if you listen to a Beatles track, there's a good chance you've listened to it through this particular AKG D19 microphone. Now, I found one that's broken, and these, when working, can go for several £100s, which I definitely wasn't going to pay for a broken one, given that it might be a bleeding paperweight if I can't get it fixed. Now, it's a bit of a gamble, but a pretty gamble, because I'll show it when I finally get it this week sometime. I don't mind necessarily if it does end up being a paperweight, because it's kind of just a cool bit of nostalgia that might hopefully inspire my daughters at some stage. Or I might be able to turn it into a working microphone and sell it for a profit. We'll see. It's a gamble either way, but it's not a massively expensive gamble at about £80. So I've got a Beatles mic that's on its way to me. I've also got a ABBA mic that's on the way. So I'll put those on videos and show people. One of them will actually do work. That'll be the ABBA microphone, which is just a useful, nice-sounding, dynamic microphone. Weird that I'd have ended up buying something from the 70s. I just happen to like the sound of and what it does. But that's how things work out, and it's reasonably priced. So I'll show that when I get a video of it. As I say, the other one is a Beatles mic, which is badged Telefunken, which in and of itself kind of what appealed to me. It just looks very cool. So I'll show that when it comes. It's got some interesting technology, even though broken. It might be that I can show what it was doing back in the 50s and 60s to make it a cool microphone. So that might end up being turned around for a loss for all I know. Who knows? It's an interesting bit of nostalgia that I'll certainly make at least one video out of that'll make me 50 cents. So definitely well worth it. So yeah, I'll show you those when they come on. Other than Adam's interface, I don't think there's anything else. Load of mic stands that I've bought for the various mics that I've recently purchased. But this is kind of the end of that particular era, even though it's only lasted 2 or 3 months, because like I say, I've got all the tools I now need. This Neumann shotgun mic is exceptional. Somebody left a comment on one of my videos saying about Sennheisers that people claim are the industry standard, and they're not. You know, people who do Foley use the Neumanns, and people who are out on location use Sheps, as I can attest to, having gone round the Harry Potter soundstage. They've got all the images of them filming it, and they're all using bright blue Sheps CMIT mics. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That's what people use. So yeah, these Neumanns are about as good as it gets. So I'm very happy with my microphone that I'm broadcasting to you live now through. It's a shotgun mic that doesn't have to be right on top of me, which I very much like. And yeah, if you hear any of my edited videos, it'll be through an AKG that's ripping off a Neumann. So it's got a Neumann circuit that they basically stole from Neumann, and then they've got a manufacturer to rip off the Neumann diaphragm. So it's got a what's it called? Should remember, a Techstar diaphragm that's ripping off a U67 Neumann capsule. So it's a 1-for-1 copy of a Neumann U87i from the 60s. So this mic is just a Neumann badged AKG. So that's what I do my voiceovers with. So there we go, that's my mic locker, and probably won't be boring with people with it other than the Beatles and ABBA mic when they arrive this week. I can't think of anything else that I've recently purchased, but it means I can finally draw a close to talking about mics and buying them, because I literally haven't got anything else to have a requirement to purchase, in case people are like, thank God, I'm so sick of listening to microphones. It's like, well, if you were here 3 years ago, you'd been listening to me bore pants off everyone with acoustic treatment talk, because that's what I was doing then. So I've got a live show, and if I choose to talk about what I happen to be doing at the time, when I'm reinvesting in the show, which is the only reason I'm buying mics, and the same with acoustic treatment, so that the show's better. That's the only reason for doing it. It's all just me reinvesting in myself as a YouTuber. So there we go. Should we cover a bit of, what's his face? Planet Peterson? Or did anybody want to talk about mics for a bit longer? Highly doubtful. Yes, Nathan, tell us more about microphones. Oh, well, I mean, if you insist. Right, obviously not. This is Planet Peterson. Please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that does not immediately get removed by the YouTube algorithmic bots or Planet Peterson himself. There is a link whizzing its way by in the live stream chat as we speak. I'll just stick that on screen, actually, so you can see that I'm doing this in all sincerity. The idea being that were Planet Peterson to respond to this video, he'd do the same for me and stick a link to my video in his. So that would be the idea of us sharing the YouTube algorithmic love by way of sending my audience to Planet Peterson's to leave him a nice little comment, leave him a nice little message, let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. with a polite comment alluding to the fact that we have covered his video today, because that is precisely what we will be doing. So the title of this video is Same Old Flat Earth Talking Points. We may agree on some of these things. Have you watched this already, Liam?
Enough to know that it's relevant for the show.
Yeah. Do we... Hold on, relevant. That's not what I asked. Will we agree with him on some of these points?
Yeah, the flat earther isn't very adept.
Oh, he's critiquing somebody. Oh, okay, I maybe got the wrong idea about what the video is. Oh, okay. This is going to be same old for us then, isn't it? We get into it? Anybody got any comments before we get into this about Planet Peterson? Anybody had any involvement with Planet Peterson?
Just to
Anybody know
note
who he is?
that when he first came on the scene, Nathan, he agreed to debate you, but yet he's yet to turn up here. It's funny that.
I don't care if he does or he doesn't. I mean, the door's always open, right? People who want to debate me can. People who don't can moan and say I've got a mute button. Yeah, okay.
Now, don't forget about my other book, Rational Answers to Stupid Questions.
1980s daytime TV.
You're asking if we have a
Go on.
model for how Earth keeps its water down? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's death because it has no container.
You don't have down on a ball. Down, what, perpendicular to a plane? You can't use these terms, Peterson, right? If you're going to start grilling a flat earther, don't use our terms, right? Start off easy.
How we keep water what? Depth?
Yep.
Okay. Why?
You don't get to describe depth of water. You can only have that on a plane. Yeah? The depth of the water is still with respect to horizontal, going down with respect to a plane, perpendicular to it also. Stop using our terms.
Why would it have to have a container?
Well, that's the only logical explanation to how the water can have its depth on Earth.
It's contained by the continental shelf and the atmosphere.
Atmosphere? Atmosphere is an oxymoron. You can't have sphere-shaped air, Peterson. Right? Sphere is a shape. Air, that's a mixture of gases. Gases take the shape of their containment. They spread out equally in all directions. Always. It's the law of nature. It's described with the second law of thermodynamics. Entropic dispersion. Gas fills space. You don't have sphere-shaped gas. That's nonsense. It's an oxymoron.
Okay, but do you have a model to prove that?
Yes, it's called the globe.
Okay, let's see if Peterson shows the globe model. We've been here 10 years, Peterson. No one's ever shown it. Ever. So you're cocky, but you won't be showing it. I absolutely guarantee it. I'll stick £10 million on it.
You can't prove the globe with the globe.
You just said the globe. It could be just as simple as just a globe.
Absolutely, Chocolate. You're about as clear as his guest.
You can use the globe to make predictions.
So where? What? You didn't show it us. What? The words that you just used, the globe, those are just empty words until you show us a globe model, as you alluded to having. You won't. That's why I stuck £10 million on you not showing it, because it doesn't exist. 10 years we've been asking. Quantum Eraser came along and said, have you actually asked? First person he did this with. I picked it up on it immediately because I used to watch a channel called Cathexis. And Cathexis was talking to a guy called Gem Panda, who's still around to this day. And Cathexis says to Gem Panda, in response to an illusion like you've given, that there's a model called the globe model. And Cathexis very casually, says to Gem Panda, can you show me that model? And it descended into chaos pretty damn quickly, because there isn't one. What are you going to go and show us? Yeah, we're never going to get to the globe model, because it's an apparition. It's an imagining. You think there's a model. You'll never show it. Yeah? I'll challenge that. I'll lay that down all day long to any of you monkeys that are new in this game, Peterson being one of them. Globe model? Okay, show us, dum-dum.
And then demonstrate beyond a shadow of a doubt that it does accurately represent reality.
Okay, let's see it then. Yeah? You won't, dickhead. Yeah? You're just full of guff. You think you've got some model that you can lean on somebody else to give you. Okay, give it us. Now, I remember when you first got here and you were like, please help me out in the comments if you can help me square this circle, die. Yeah, I remember. You're bleating to your commenters to tell you the answers to these problems, Peterson. And now you are, a few years down the line, reaching out to the heavens for some etheric model that doesn't exist. Show us. Where's this all-answering model you speak of, dum-dum?
So, there you go.
Method, you're gonna need a model for that. So
yeah, it's called the globe.
But his guests just said, let's see it. I mean, he rumpused him and repeated what we'd already heard. The globe. Yeah, we heard that already, dickhead. Do you think you needed to rumpus the question he was asking? Let's see it. But that got rumpused by Peterson reiterating something we'd already heard. Yo, dumbass. Sounds like your guest's about to have you over a barrel. Let's see how you get on.
And the globe successfully makes predictions, and the flat Earth...
Yeah, we heard you the first time. Yeah, let's see it. He's just asked you to show it. Of course, you talk straight through it because you detected he might be asking you for something.
Earth has never, ever made one prediction.
Right, now you're reversing the burden because you're being asked to show it. You're telling him what he's never done by stereotype. What a wanker. So immediately flipping the burden, wanker. Oh, well, let's just call this like it is. Peterson's a wanker. He's been asked to show his model that he's just laboured how amazing it is. Immediately, the moment he's asked to show it, you've never been able to prove anything in your predictions. Flip the burden. What a pathetic coward. Just back your bullshit there, Peterson. You got this amazing model that's never been wrong. Show it. Like you were asked to before you interrupted.
Ever.
Yes.
You guys tried.
Keep talking, right? Keep the verbal diarrhea up, shit for brains. Yeah? This is why coward assholes like Peterson claim I've got a mute burn in defence of not coming. Because this asshole needs to be able to control the narrative where he doesn't now shut up. He's been asked to show something. I heard it clear as day. Did anybody here not hear his guest with a crap mic say, let's see it? Did anybody not hear that? Because if so, I'll rewind it so we can hear it. We can all hear it again. No? We all heard that, yeah? Did we all hear the guest ask him to show the model?
Sure did. I did, for certain.
Right, Peterson, you seem to have just developed this verbal diarrhea where you're chatting shit straight through the top of your guest there. You bleeding coward.
Remember when you shone the light and then you're like, if it's flat, we'll be able to see it.
So speak a bit louder. You coward. This is a telling set of circumstances that befall us now today, ladies and gentlemen. This is his fear, isn't it? You keep rumpusing him, babbling about what he hasn't done. You pathetic coward.
And then they're like, oh, we can't see the light. And then they said, raise it.
And then they said, and then he said, and then we said, and then she said. Do you need to create an entire narrative of characters around this obfuscation of his question that he asked you? Show us the model you just said was answering everything. Don't tell me what I can't do and what he said to she said. You stupid, pathetic little obfuscating twat. Model. Where is it? Show us.
It up to account for curvature, and then they raised it up, and then they could see the light, and then they went, huh.
And now he's strawmanning it with something that Jaren did. This guy Jaren has already left this cult of flat Earth that you guys want to stereotype us with, because he didn't know Earth was measured flat. He was holding up lasers and bits of cardboard. Yeah? What a wanker. Yeah, we knew it was measured flat because the entire world and its infrastructure are built on it.
And then the documentary ended right then and there.
Oh, you sound rather nervous. Did we all hear that? Listen to it again. You sound pretty nervous with your verbal diarrhea. Obfuscation to his question about seeing the model that's got the answers to everything. Let's hear that little quiver in your voice, Peterson, you abject coward.
Raise it up to account for curvature, and then they raised it up, and then they could see the light, and then they went, huh. And then the documentary ended right then and there. Remember that?
Okay, ignoring the flat Earth model, can you just give me an explanation for that using the scientific method? Because if you can't, then your theory is false. Your hypothesis is false.
Doesn't have a hypothesis, and he hadn't suggested he got one. So your opponent on the flat Earth side's taking some of the aspects of the things that we discuss here and butchering them. Where did you scrape this guy up from, Peterson? Yeah, nice low-hanging fruit. This guy's butchering his rebuttal to you there, isn't he? He doesn't really know what he's talking about. But that's presumably why he's in front of you, right? Nice and easy for you to deal with. Yeah, also very telling. This nobody that you're dealing with, right? He's ballsing it up.
It's literally not false if I can't give an accounting for it. Gravity, there was no theory behind the
That was a bit of a terrible sentence fragment.
Universal gravitation that Einstein revealed.
Doesn't sound like he knows what he's talking about here. He's scrambling his way through this stuff that's probably quite new to him.
But it successfully made countless predictions.
You think gravity's something with predictive capabilities, do you? It's a pseudo-geometry, stupid shit for brains. Pseudo-geometries don't make predictions. What a dickhead. You have no idea what you're babbling about, do you, Peterson? You think Einsteinian, pseudo-Riemannian bent space-time can make predictions? Au contraire. What a clown.
Nonetheless. So it is an accurate description of...
Oh, sorry. A minute ago it was making predictions. Now it's a description. Which one is it? Is it a predictive tool or is it a descriptive tool? Sounds like you don't know what you're talking about much, Peterson. Yeah? That's why your wavering voice tells us you're chatting shit and you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah? Because you'd have some confidence in your tone. You don't.
Reality, even if some underlying part of it was hidden, it still was an accurate representation of reality.
Some of what was hidden? What the bloody hell are you babbling about, man? If something about gravity that hadn't been mentioned until you brought it up was hidden, like, do you manage to keep track of your own stupid thoughts much? What are you babbling about?
So, you want to know why does the water on Earth sit there?
No, he said there must be containment for the water. He made a statement.
So it's contained.
At least I can keep track of what his guest said. Go ahead. That his guest trying to get a word in.
Inside the continental shelves, and air pressure keeps it down, and gravity makes things...
Air pressure? Now, you said that there was sphere-shaped, oxymoronic sphere-shaped air. I took the dump on that crap, didn't I? Yes, I did. His opponent didn't address it because he was butchering science and needing theories.
Fall to the ground.
What?
So it's contained inside the continental shelves, and air pressure keeps it down, and gravity makes things fall to the ground.
What, like gas? Sorry, do you wade around in your farts, do you, Peterson? Yeah? The gas come out your ass and fall down to the ground for you to swim around in it, does it? Or does it disperse throughout your house, letting everyone around you know how dirty and stinky you are? I'm pretty sure gas spreads out to fill available volume there. It doesn't go down, go boom, boom, go splash, splash, you unbelievable spastic. Where you dropped on your frickin' head. Gas doesn't go down. Do you think gas is produced in the sky and falls down like rain? No. It goes up from the ground to form the clouds in the water cycle. Well, you're not taught this in high school, you stupid spastic. Gas doesn't go down, go boom, boom. Idiot. My God, Peterson's retarded, isn't he? Is he actually retarded? Peterson, are you actually retarded? I'd like to know.
He's definitely disingenuous.
Well, he's just told us the gas go down, go boom, boom, because of the predictive capabilities of the descriptions of bent pseudo-Riemannian space-time geometry. Spastic much? No wonder you're stuttering around this shite that you haven't got a clue about. Wrong on every front, much.
Don't worry, he's got a description of the prediction and a prediction of the description. That's it's okay.
I mean, it's giving me a headache keeping track of his nonsense. I mean, I can keep track of this shit. even though it is complete shit, and summarise it accurately to get a laugh at the end of it. But you're stuttering around this shit that you haven't even learnt properly. It's your religion, by the way, Peterson. You dumbass. You'd think you'd bleed and learn it. Me, I'm your opponent. I know this shit like the back of my hand. The garbage that you failed to give a decent rendition of just now to an opponent. Not even a decent opponent. It's not like you've got a decent opponent that's going to rip you a new one at any stage. My God, this is pathetic.
Okay, but where's your model? Recreate a model.
What does that even mean?
It's simple English. Dropped on your head much, spastic. Where is your model? I picked up on it. I asked every one of the guests around me if they understood what was being asked. They all affirmed that they did. We were all pretty clear what was being asked there, spastic. Why the hell are you even here? Yeah? Can you not cope with simple English? Where is your model? The one that you babbled on about how fucking fantastic it is, you stupid retard. The one you told us was all-knowing and all-predicting? Yeah? That one. Show it, dickhead.
Show me that on a model that can happen. That's just how it works.
Go outside.
Sorry, you were dropped on your head, weren't you? When someone asks me if I've got a model after my claim of having a model, my response is not go outside. Can I see the new Ford Taurus? Go outside. No, what I'd like to see is the new model, please. Of Ford Taurus. Can you show me the new model? You should go outside, said the dealer. Yeah, then I walked out and went and reported him to the mental institution for being utterly retarded. Sorry, you've just said you've got an all-seeing, all-knowing model. Do you think stepping outside... just wait a second, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just be right back. Yo, Peterson, I'm just going to go and check. You stupid spastic. It's where I can see. I just went outside. What a spastic. There was no model. I just went outside. There was nothing out there, Peterson. I went out and had a look outside. You wanker. I just wasted my time because you were dropped on your head, you stupid muppet. There was nothing out there. There was no all-seeing model telling me about gravity and about how I made gas go down, go boom, boom. You pleb.
You got it all wrong. If you go outside, right, what you have outside is the ground that we're also told, what you have outside is the ground that we're told is too big to measure the earth, the curve of the earth. That's the model of the globe right there.
Nobody told me nothing. I just went outside, no ground, spoke a word.
You sure it didn't give you a prediction of the description?
No, I went out and shockingly, I saw clouds. The water vapour was going up, unlike this spastic's nonsense he's put on the internet.
Yeah, but Nathan, the globe makes predictions. So if you went outside and observed the globe, then you should have got a prediction to go with it.
No, that was just me observing the natural habitat I inhabit. Why would that be a prediction? That's just me observing the world around me. That's not a spastic who was dropped on his head in his prediction that the globe's all-seeing and all-knowing also is describing. I mean, he doesn't quite know if it's a predictive tool or a descriptive tool, but I mean, it's spastic here that's dropped on his head. He's out there putting stuff on the internet. Give that man 10 million views.
You absolutely can, because we have models that are descriptions of the Earth, and then you go out into...
Yeah, he's asked you twice to show him, you stupid retard. Yeah, reiterating, yeah, we've got them. Yeah, we've got them. They're at the back. Okay, yeah. Fuck off out the back and go get it.
Into the real world.
Plural, Nathan. Now it's more than one.
We've got more than one model out the back. We've got lumps of it round the back.
And you test those descriptions on the planet.
I was going to say it's the globe models. Like the Lone Rangers.
And then that's how you can confirm it. So, for example, on a globe...
So this is just your verbal rendition of what would occur on a globe. This isn't a model. These are the words of a man dropped on his head. This is not a model. So are we going to concede now that you were just lying, bullshitting? It was all bravado and nonsense that you'd made up when you said that there's this all-seeing, all-knowing, predictive, describing model that's actually go outside. That was the extent of you proving that shit and bravado that you spouted. Yeah, I did it. I did go outside. You heard me, hopefully. Going outside and checking whether that shit that you said was actually true or not. And shockingly, it wasn't. Meanwhile, your assertions that gas go down, go boom, boom were debunked by me. My name's Nathan Oakley. I'm not a spastic. I was not dropped on my head by my mother. You are a spastic. Why the hell are you making material for public consumption?
If you're in the southern hemisphere,
Southern, you are a globe believer. You don't get to use southern. Southern is a direction on a plane. Stop using our flat earth measurements. Hemisphere, what the description of the measurement of the angles to the stars of a flat plane to develop a hemispherical model in the south. Yeah, that's a flat plane that's been used to create that, you stupid clown. You don't get to use that. Now you're starting to piss me off. Don't use our stuff.
If you have two people in the southern hemisphere and they go south, they
south to flat earth direction.
Get closer together on a globe.
What? What the bloody hell are you babbling about? Closer together on what globe? You haven't shown us it. You've claimed there's an etheric model that's all-seeing and all-predicting. Now you've told me that when people travel antipodal in a direction that's planar, they'll meet. Nonsensical doublespeak much. You can't go south a direction on a plane and meet another person travelling antipodal on a sphere. That's a complete contradiction in terms. I keep forgetting. Dropped on your head much? Do you want to tell me how you go south and antipodal? You can't. Meanwhile, one of them is used in mapping and travelling. That'd be south. Now look at your compass and tell me how frickin' globe-shaped it isn't.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so you're just an idiot. So you realize that
Oh, I see. So you've picked somebody that you know is weak, so you can spout shite that you can't back in nonsensical double-speak contradiction in this instance, and then call that man an idiot. Oh, well, I already knew that would be coming because we've dealt with you before, haven't we? Full of bravado, full of piss, full of vinegar. Yeah, that's why I take great pleasure in calling you a spastic and describing you as having been dropped on your head. When you say gas go down, go boom boom, because of the describing, predicting, bent pseudo-Riemannian fourth-dimensional space-time Einsteinian geometry you appealed to earlier. You stupid spastic.
According to the globe,
I'm not sure why
there's
this
a
video
south
is called Same Old Flat Earth Talking Points when all I've heard is the same old globe talking points. Maybe he labeled this video wrong. I don't know. I haven't heard any new globe, new hotness from Mr. Peterson yet. So
what we did here is opponent asking twice, no less, unimpeded on his own video for the model that had been asserted to be all-knowing, and we didn't get it. What we did get was a barrage of obfuscation and then the opponent / guest being called an idiot when not accepting a description of something that's a contradiction in terms. That's a planar direction, south, an antipodal joining of two people. Well, where are they? Are you this person? Are we doing this journey, hypothetically? That's not a model. Your hypothetical example that you haven't demonstrated is not a fucking model. Yeah, that makes you a spastic. Notice how I'm not stuttering around how spasticated you really are there, Peterson. That's because it's true and demonstrable based on the description I've just given of your current performance.
According to the globe, yes.
Okay, so that would mean that as you travel south in the southern hemisphere,
that would be a contradiction in terms in one statement. South in the southern hemisphere. Go and grab a compass. Sorry, did that south on that compass look like it's downward? Like antipodal from north? I'm thinking it's two-dimensional. I'm thinking that's a contradiction in terms there, dum-dum.
Paths south lead to a...
But he's pointing down when he says south. Yeah, you think south is antipodal on a ball, failing to understand the creation of hemispherical models derived from angles measured off a flat Earth. In all instances. But you're pointing down, like that somehow makes your compass wrong? Learn how compass works, you stupid clown. Were you never a Boy Scout? Clearly not.
South Pole. Are you with me so far?
You'll need a flat plane of reference to describe a pole. That axis is with respect to a plane. Yo, Neil, you still here? Remember earlier when I told you our axial rotation would describe itself with a plane of reference always? Yeah, you'll need a flat earth for that, dum-dum. Don't use our stuff.
I'm here.
On a globe model, yes.
Yep. So that would mean as two people travel south, they get closer together in the southern hemisphere.
It's just going to keep using this contradiction in terms over and over again. I won't reiterate it every time. I just allude to the fact that he's done it.
Are you with me so far?
He can't be with you travelling south and antipodal simultaneously. It's a contradiction in terms, you stupid shit for brains.
Sure.
Okay.
But yeah, his opponent's with him. Very good.
Now on a flat Earth, no matter
Sorry, whoa. Why are you telling us what a flat Earth would do now?
where you are, if you travel south, you diverge from the other person. Are you?
What? If you travel south, you diverge from another person? What's he babbling about? South's a flat Earth only direction, you stupid man. Every example you've given, if it's going to make sense, will be travelling with respect to a plane of reference to go south. It's a flat Earth direction.
You with me so far?
Yeah.
Seek that agreement ladder with your opponent. Don't seem very confident. You're seeking affirmation from your opponent. When I say you're a shit for brains retard because you were dropped on your head after describing gas going down and planar directions, in this case south, that's not going to require me to ask if you understand or quote with me. I'll tell you, you stupid idiot. Yeah? With as much disdain as I can muster, because I know better than you. When I tell you what's what, Peterson, you utter retard. Yeah, I won't be seeking confirmation that you understand either. I'll tell you and you better damn well know it after I've told it you. And if you don't, you'll be told that you're a retard and to get lost, because you can't keep up. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, the fact is that in the southern hemisphere, if you go south,
Yeah, those two things are in polar opposition. You can't go south, a flat Earth direction, in the southern hemisphere. Yeah? South will be with respect to a plane. The southern hemisphere is a mathematical concept created with angle measurements off a plane. Hello? Look into how your religion's formed. Clown shoes? Not very well versed in your own sphere religion, are you?
you get closer together. You can take a look at cities that are, you can create a grid, 2 cities at the same latitude.
What's latitude? Anybody? What's latitude? It's a new term to me. Anybody heard of this latitude thing he's speaking of? How would we measure such a thing?
Elevation angles to the sun from level.
Polaris.
My bad.
And then 2 cities that are at a different latitude, but the
Measured on a flat plane. These are flat earth concepts. Don't use our stuff. Why are you telling us about how flat earth only concepts work? You don't get to use these anymore. Maybe you didn't get the memo, you stupid idiot. Don't use our stuff. If you're going to talk about how flat earth isn't, you certainly don't get to use friggin' latitude.
same with respect to each other and on the same line of longitude.
So you don't get to use our flat earth only measurements and mapping systems. These are ours, you stupid clown.
And the ones farther south are closer
South, you don't get to use that either. That's ours.
together. Globe confirmed.
What the bloody hell are you babbling about? You just described a system that's flat earth only to describe a contradiction in terms with antipodal descriptions of positions when moving south, a flat earth only direction. And then you're suggesting that this hypothetical, in lieu of a model you've been asked for, spastic brain, is the confirmation of a globe you believe in. You are so stupid, it is untrue.
The thing is, you still haven't answered my question about how
I literally just
He can detect that the third rendition of being asked for the model's coming, can't he? So he needs to obfuscate and talk through him that he's already answered. You don't know what he's suggesting you haven't answered yet because you're talking immediately there, aren't you, coward?
You take a globe model.
Keep waffling, and then potentially it won't make it to the recording. What, the third repetition of you haven't shown us a model?
And you make that specific prediction.
Now he'll probably tell the guest off for interrupting him. You watch.
Then you go outside and the prediction comes true.
Yeah, I did that, didn't I, Peterson? Yeah, got quite a good laugh out of my panel.
We know what would happen if the Earth was flat. They'd be...
Do we? Yeah, we'd be measuring latitude and longitude with respect to it, wouldn't we? Yeah, you did! And you got told off for it, didn't you, shit for brains? Don't use our stuff is what I told you. It wasn't, do you understand? It was, don't use our stuff! Don't get to tell us Earth's not flat when using latitude. How dare you use our flat Earth measurements to infer in any way, shape or form that Earth isn't flat? Frickin' outrage!
Farther apart. They don't get farther apart.
Sorry, do you think when him attempting to tell you that what you haven't actually addressed, it needs another rendition of what we already heard? What a coward. Yeah, just keep your verbal diarrhea going and no one will notice that he's trying to get through when you gave him, what, 5 seconds of airtime?
Your model is falsified.
He didn't assert that he'd have a model, you did. Let's see if he picks up on it and suggests it in the last few seconds that he actually got.
Again, show me a small scale model.
It's called a globe.
Immediately interrupts him. We call that the fundamentalist religious zealot mute button, right? Peterson hears the guest saying, I've only asked you one question. I asked you for a model. Now, I don't know why he's now added small scale. Just model. Show us your model. You said it was all knowing, all seeing, all predicting, all scientific, all describing. Let's friggin' see it. But when he's being asked for the third time, he feels the need to justifiably, chant through him, talk straight through the top of him. What a coward. Yeah, every time someone says Nathan's got a mute button, what they actually mean is Nathan won't tolerate this shit that Peterson's now doing. Yeah, he'd be getting told off, wouldn't he? And what would Peterson be doing right now as I told him off for this shit? He'd be yammering through the top of me to the point where he'd have to be shut down by one of the moderators. If we were in a neutral platform, like politics on a Friday. Yeah? Peterson be there yammering through the top of me, trying to obfuscate me, reiterating what a coward he is. For obfuscation of the third reiteration of this point by his guest. You didn't show any model, dickhead.
He'd be outside pointing at the sky saying, look, there's gas pressure without a container.
Yeah, but he used to come and round up people like that with straitjackets, Peterson. The rambling idiots stepping outside their front door to say, look, here's my all-seeing model. Yeah, along comes a little white van with a straitjacket and a net for you. Off to the nut house with him.
The Earth is not the small scale. You can't use the globe to prove the globe.
So what you do is you take a globe, which is a model.
Sorry, did you want to show us that? So you keep reiterating this all-seeing, all-knowing, predictive model and its descriptions and that. We're never going to get to see it, though, because you don't have one. Now, I don't mind reiterating that over and over again.
And then you use it to make predictions.
So where are you going to use it? You haven't used it yet. You didn't use it in examples that you answered a question that didn't get answered about the model being shown. So where is it? Oh, yeah, my bad. I went outside, didn't I? I didn't get to see it there either, Dundum.
About the real world out there. And
oh, I see. So I go out there and it's the real world, and in your mind it's globe-shaped, therefore going out there proves it's globe-shaped. Yeah, that's called begging the question. The lowest, dumbest, most idiot use of a fallacy that can be. Straight up begging the question. Otherwise known as assuming your outcome. Because you assume it's globe-shaped when you go outside it's globe-shaped. Well, even in his use of fallacy, he's stupid, isn't he? Not got much going on up there, eh, son?
And then those...
Can't form a better fallacy than, I think it's globe-shaped. How'd you prove it? Well, I go outside and assume it's globe-shaped, because that's the reality I assume it is. What a fucking retard. Go ahead, whoever that was.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe when he says, take the globe and go outside. I mean, where can you do that, right? You can just go to a classroom, take one of those desktop globes, and go outside, and there you go. You have all your predictions that you need. That's the most accessible place for a globe, right? I'm assuming that's what he means. So there's his model. Little desktop globe you can find in the store.
And as soon as he does that, that'll affirm the gas going down, go boom, boom, like the clouds that you're standing out looking at whilst you look at a model of a ball that's got no clouds going down, go boom, boom towards it.
Yes.
That's not what you do. You bring the globe outside from the classroom and you tap on it 3 times and you say, will it be raining later? The globe predicts whether it will or won't.
Maybe that's what they could do, tap on a classroom globe model and ask if it's going to rain later. I mean, it's all knowing and all predicting, and it'll describe what the weather will be like later, according to Peterson. I mean, obviously, he can now waffle on about how contradictory travelling south a direction on a plane will bring people together antipodally. Globe confirmed. That's what he's given in lieu of the model, because he's retarded.
Real world predictions come true. It's been done countless times before.
For people like you and me and you, ba 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 ba. Jim will fix it.
Give me a physical small scale model that the scientific method needs in order to make something a theory.
Could you try putting that in the form of a sentence, sweetie?
Oh, have you been watching Professor Dave and now feel that you need to piss this guy off like Dave pissed Lord Jamar off by calling him sweetie? You're just a freaking copycat, aren't you? You're an empty shell of a man with no personality. You're taking on Dave's personality, sweetheart. Oh my God.
Did Cupcake just call somebody sweetie?
Oh. It's almost like you need to grow a personality by taking the seeds of other people's. Oh my God. There is nothing unique about you, Peterson, right? You need your name in lights that you paid for, yeah, in Chinesium. That's what you need, don't you? It is so sad.
Is this guy trying to emulate Dave?
Give me a small scale
Yes, in essence.
model.
Well, that's a sad situation, isn't it?
It's a sad situation.
Of the Earth containing its water with your quote-unquote atmosphere as a container, so the scientific method can be used to prove that, yes, that's how the atmosphere holds the water, blah, 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 blah.
Sure, put water in a vacuum and watch it evaporate.
Sorry.
There, you can prove...
So you can prove that it go down. What an idiot.
Can you hear me, Nathan?
Yes, Brian.
Am I coming in okay? Yeah. I mean, that flat earth guy, I mean, his knowledge is through the roof guy. I mean, wow. What I mean, blah, da, da, blah, da, da, blah. Is that what he just said to him? Scientific method, your model, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it has nothing to do with scientific method.
That's who they get. I mean,
Yeah.
That's who they need to be. That's who they need the fight to be with, right?
Yeah, someone who doesn't really know what they're talking about. The guy is right, the flat earther's right. As in, in essence, he's right. But he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's using terms that have no connection to each other and they have no relation in reality. It's like, whether gas pressure holds, it does anything. Look, it's just the whole thing is, like, is there any wonder that's who he has?
What this shows is that we're almost being a bit hard or too hard on the flat earther, right? It sounds like he's a fan of the show or the shows, or at some point, influence that we have had on this subject matter has rubbed off on this guy. So at some stage, it doesn't matter if it's by osmosis or just by it being in the arena because we've put it there. It doesn't matter why. He's spouting our rhetoric, isn't he? Just not very well. But it doesn't matter. With even that limited knowledge of what we cover here, he's still whipping Planet Peterson around by his short hairs, isn't he? He doesn't have to have a great exemplary knowledge. He's still beating him.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably shouldn't be giving him 2 hours to coin. It's just that he's using scientific method there and blah, 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 referring to Peterson's carry on his paradigm. It's just, I suppose I was probably jumping on it a bit hard. But he's still even with the limited ability he has or knowledge, so I should say, Peterson is still got his back against the wall. Yeah,
still
absolutely.
Exactly. He's still having to resort to tactics, Peterson, that is, to overcome him just repeating, well, where's your model? You haven't shown me. Oh, I've already explained it, and you guys have never been able to predict anything over the top of him. You're like, right, so the guy's managing to get Peterson to resort to tactics on his own show with just the basic understanding of what we cover here. So, like, as much as we've gone, look at the low-hanging fruit he's gone for, well, this guy isn't doing it for a living like I'm doing it, or, hasn't dedicated the last 10 years of his life to it like Brian has. It's just some guy, right? But he's still managing to whip this guy around. Epic.
I shouldn't really point the finger.
Globe points. No, with his same old globe talking points, which is, again, funny that he called it same old flat earth talking points. I find that to be hilarious.
Yeah, and I shouldn't really point the finger, because the chances of me debating Planet Peterson are pretty slim. Unless he's going to pay me my fee, or unless somehow I end up against him on a very big platform that's worth my while being there. You know what I mean? It won't be happening. So I really shouldn't give out too much.
Well, he might come on
here.
He's welcome to join here, though. He might come here one day. Feel like he's got
exactly, or if he was on one of the Discords and I ran into him. But other than that, it wouldn't happen.
Right, any more comment on Planet Peterson? If not, I'm going to be rounding out. No? Fair enough. With that, I say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Oh, that was fun. That was good. Good choice.
I mean, seriously, this is what they got in 2025. I mean, like, I think we're golden. To be honest with you, I mean, if the king of the final excrement broke out a toy plane and a globe, and this guy's talking about my model's a globe, and I mean, this is what they got, really? Even after the TFE, I mean, really?
Yep.
It's rough.
You just tap on it 3 times and you ask it something, and it gives you a prediction.
Mecca high, Mecca honey ho.
Yeah, the elusive Zohar or something. No.
Did you get my messages, Adam?
I didn't get them, though.
I was talking to Adam.
Yeah, I didn't get them.
Me? No.
What's up, Adam?
Not that Adam. Adam Meakin. He's obviously doing stuff.
Oh, hi, Adam. My bad.
I'll get him later.
Until Adam comes in. Yeah. I've been recently, when we were talking the other night, Nathan, about, not personally, but I was on TV, on the ball busters. The way so many of their opponents know it's flat, but they hate the fact that it is. Right? And there's little terminologies they use, little things they say. Like, have you, I get this a lot, right? Have you ever considered that you might be wrong? It's like, no, that doesn't come into my head, that I might be wrong. But you're telling me that that's what's going through your head about your paradigm. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that going on.
How are we wrong? How are we wrong when they're conceding to our points, basically off the rip?
Yeah, we're telling you off for using our stuff.
Too big to measure. Yeah, it's too big to measure curve. That's you agreeing with us. If you want to throw on a little story afterwards for seasoning, that's up to you. But as far as what it's measured like, nah, we're in agreement. It's okay.
Yeah, but
you just have to.
You ever considered that you might be wrong? Like I consider as a glober that I might be wrong. Nah, I don't have that. I'm fully confident.
But that means you're not
So,
open. You're not open. You're close-minded, Brian. I'm worried here as a glober, metaphorically, about my paradigm being wrong, and I've considered it a lot. And now I need to project that consideration onto you, the flat earther that takes the position I can't bear to even contemplate out loud. But I've spent a lot of time considering it, how wrong I might be. You need to too, lest you be called close-minded.
yeah, chocolate. You're just
Yeah,
closed-minded.
I've loved that one. Yeah. Are you open-minded enough to change your mind? Didn't I just tell you I just changed my entire damn paradigm? Like, are you feeling okay? I don't believe what you believe, bro. What's wrong with you?
Now I take the stance.
Would they really
it's not that I'm going to
Sorry.
change my mind. It's don't use my stuff. Don't use my measurements to try and tell me that I need to change my mind back to the bit you believe in and I've figured out was made with flat earth measurements. Don't use those measurements anymore. Yeah, I don't give a shit what you tell me you're worried about. I don't care. Just don't use my flat earth measurements and we'll be golden.
Yeah, but have you ever considered, Nathan, that you might be wrong? Just like I'm considering.
Well, if I'm wrong about the flat earth measurements that you'll be using to create your globe, then everybody's wrong, all bets are off. But given that you'll be using my flat earth measurements that you're asking whether or not I'm wrong about them to make your globe belief work, I'm pretty sure that you'll need those measurements I'm reliant on just as much as I do. But they're measurements, so I don't really need to worry about my belief in them.
Yeah, but if I project onto you this and ask you, do you not think it's possible that you might be wrong about it being flat? And I project my actual fear about it possibly not being a globe onto you. Will you then tell me also that you do sometimes feel that you might be wrong, making me feel better?
No, I'm going to make you feel a whole lot worse by telling you I never worry about it at all, ever, because there's nothing to worry about. It's measured flat. For everyone, always.
Yeah. It's like, is there any chance, Brian? I get this a lot. Did you ever consider that you might be wrong? No, not even remotely. I mean, certain things makes it impossible for me to be wrong. So me trying to say that I'm wrong after that would be crazy. I mean, I would need a straitjacket because the measurements of Earth, how Earth is treated, everything to do with the Earth involves it being flat and stationary. You tell me that
they need me from 10 years ago.
Do I ever consider that I might be wrong? Why would I even? Absolutely not. I'm 100% confident.
But 10 years ago, if they'd have asked me that 10 years ago, then they might have got a maybe out of me. Because it's like, well, I haven't really done much yet. I don't really know. So, I mean, it seems to make sense. And I heard Math Powerland say the words a couple of times, and that seems like definitely something I should look into because it does seem to make a lot of sense. But if I stopped at that point in terms of looking into stuff, maybe just listen to a lot of Dave Weiss, I'd probably be in a position to answer that question and give them a bit of cope. But given that it's not 10 years ago and I've looked into the subject since then and just know it's flat, there's not really much I can offer that person, is there? I can't give them any cope. That's why they're so... I said that at the beginning of this pre-show, actually, to... I forgot it was now, Barrington... about people who would come along to the show to mock us because Whitsit's leaving Flat Earth and going back to the globe, or Jaron's leaving, or whoever's leaving. It's like, well, here, whenever they've come and tried to throw that in our direction on the lead up to TFE, we've asked them where's their hypothesis. We've asked them what the Flat Earth measurements will be that they'll be providing after the fact. And they've very quickly learned that there is no line of attack to take on us. So they quickly bugger off. So when... TFE comes and goes, there's very little fanfare for it from the globe side on this side of the fence. But there is over in the Jaron and the Whitsit and the Globebusters camp. There's all sorts of fanfares and ticker tapes and for the globe, right? But it's just we're unaffected.
Yeah, I mean...
Which is why we were supposed to grab onto a model and hold on to it for dear life as soon as this started. Which is why that question was always purported to us. Where's your model? Why do you have a model, stupid flat earther? Right? And look what happened.
Just to what Brian was saying, though. Just what you were saying there, Brian. Their point of contention won't be against you. It will be against Merriam-Webster. It will be against Sustained by Design. It will be against the NTSB and whatever else you're referencing or citing.
Yeah, basically what they're asking, Central, is there any chance that those people might be wrong? That's really what they're asking, isn't it? Is there any chance that the
Yeah.
NTSB might be wrong? You know, that's what they're asking. Or whichever, as you said, Merriam-Webster or whoever. Yeah, sustainable by design. You know, where it's officially admitted. You know, is there any chance they might be wrong? Nah, no chance. They're the experts at it.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's no chance. You know, the plane wouldn't stay in the air. It wouldn't have lift, right, Brian?
Yeah, it can't do what it would need it to do, because it would need to have a below horizontal pitch. Horizontal wouldn't even exist. So it's even hard to even translate it over into what it would have to do, because for what it would have to do, it probably just wouldn't even exist. Planes wouldn't exist. They wouldn't exist. Airplanes wouldn't exist. If we were on a globe, wouldn't exist. They'd have some other way. There'd be some other way of getting around. It wouldn't be airplanes, because they can't.
We'd just have
We'd
have hot air balloons and the Coriolis deflection. We'd just be like, oh, I'll jump on a balloon. You know, America will just come to me.
Yeah, I don't see why anything else would be happening like that. It certainly won't be airplanes.
Someone
If
in
Earth
France
wasn't
can
flat
look
and
up at my...
stationary, Wolfie would be out of a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
People confirming Coriolis deflection from France going, look at that giant hot air balloon taking all those people to America. Looks like it's curving. It's not. It's just us turning underneath it. Taking them all to the States. It's not really them going to the States. The States is coming to them. It's turning underneath them, you know. Not really drifting, not really curving at all.
Well, I mean, all the hints
Coriolis
are in the name.
almanac.
Air,
Sorry, go on.
sea level. I mean, doesn't get more obvious than that.
Uh, 10 years ago, I didn't have all the information, obviously, I hadn't, right? But I knew it was flat. I just knew immediately it's flat. No way out of it. As I said, I didn't have all the information I have. But there's certain things that make sure that the Earth can't be a rotating globe. And 10 years ago, I knew what they were. And once you find even one thing that makes that impossible, that's all you need. You don't need 20 things. It's just one thing. That's it. You know, it's a little bit like the black swan. You don't need 20 black swans, just one black swan. What I mean is you don't need 20 things with the black swan. The black swan alone debunks that it's a globe. Just that alone, if you're looking for another example. Because the example I got of ferric debate was that the horizon always appears to rise to eye level. Now, regardless of Wolfie or Will Duffy would say, people who weren't around in 2015, well, Wolfie didn't turn up until 2016, the original statement from Eric debate was the horizon always appears to rise to eye level. Because I remember the video, because it was one of my most pivotal moments in my life. Yeah, it can't do that. If the Earth's a globe, it can't. Can't have an horizon, because that would be a rate of slope zero, and it can't appear to rise as you rise up. It won't do that. It has to appear to consistently drop. And at a level that you, or to a degree, pun intended, where you would be able to see it and recognize it with your own eyes. You wouldn't need, like, you know, a sextant or something to measure the difference, or a theodolite to measure the little difference that you don't observe with your eyes. It would be observable from an airplane.
And
that
obvious.
Can't exist.
Yeah. We came to that conclusion at the Isle of Man. So when we figured out that the Earth curve maths that asserts there's a horizon formed by Earth curve has no perspective, so then Anthony started doing what he called the double dip and using both the calculation that is asserted to make the horizon Earth curve and perspective. And when you do it like that and look at the maths, you go, bloody hell, at 3959 radius, the ground would be falling away from you at a horrendous rate. It would be really noticeable and really obvious the minute you started raising in altitude. And Rory Cooper, remember him by perspective? He did a diagrammatical example of it side by side. And it's really stark when you include perspective and Earth curve drop simultaneously and show what happens when you rise up. Immediately, the ground's falling away at a vast rate. It's not subtle.
Yeah, exactly. If the horizon's the leading geometric edge of the sphere Earth, then as you rise up, it's not subtle. Exactly. I remember, what was the guy's name? There's something Israelite. He used to be around years ago, an American guy. He was a staunch Christian, but he was a strong debater. He was against someone like Reg Rhetoric or something. and he was on, I can't remember whose show at the time, but it was a pretty big show. This is years back in 2016. And he showed us what it would have to be, or 2016 or 17. It was around the time of the Baumgartner thing. He showed a diagram or a moving diagram or whatever, a caricature of what would happen as you rise up and how the horizon would have to curve and drop, especially from Baumgartner's position. But he was saying it don't matter even from an airplane. He showed it's, as you said, it's not subtle. It's not like something you don't notice. It's absolutely happening. Do you know what I mean? And you're seeing it with your own eyes, kind of thing. And he showed it happening. He showed what the mathematics. He's good at maths, very good. He was, and he showed what basically what would happen, a true pad or something like that.
How is something that's not subtle so subtle that it can't be detected? I'm sorry, I'm confused by that.
Well, it can, and allegedly it's at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet when you ignore perspective, so therefore you can still break that black swan. That's where we started this discussion, right?
You remember the man I'm talking about, Nathan?
So the Israelite?
Southern Israelite, that's it. Southern, yeah, yes, he was a real Southern. He reminds you a bit of John of Refracted. Southern Israelite, yeah, he was very good.
Like really good at debating.
Well, he was very confident, and he was able to show, like when he showed that thing with the horizons, whoever he was against, there was someone prominent at the time.
Southern Israelite.
It could have been,
I don't know.
Could have been Traffic or Railway or something, but whoever it was, he had no answer.
Yeah, I don't know him. Don't know who you're talking about.
Well, you know his name.
I do remember that name from back in the day.
Yeah, I think he was pretty good at maths. He was good at calculus and stuff, if I remember correctly, because I remember they used to be trying to say that flat earthers didn't know maths, and he used to come out and just annihilate them. Like they used to be under serious pressure when he turned up against one of them at the time. I used to enjoy listening to him. I'm not saying everything he said was absolutely correct, and saying every argument he made was correct, because I can't remember everything. But I just remember I do remember his geometry and maths was good, and I remember him being able to show that. And it was just, he showed where the non-subtlety of the globe's geometric edge and what would happen as you rise up, and he showed it. And it's not something that cannot be there. Do you know what I mean? It must be there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and you will notice it, kind of thing, you know.
It's a stark experience because it's so.
You would think it would have. Sorry, Zontrol. Go ahead, man.
I was going to say it's so far into our experience, so that's why you notice it so much as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chocolate.
Yo, Brian!
Hey, Neil.
You're good,
Did
brother.
you see my message? The fisherman in the box is going over your video.
Yeah, I'd already told him.
I didn't get to watch it yet, but I will watch it.
I'd already told him, Neil.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's the one you sent me, Nathan, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I did watch that again. It was very good, yeah. I left a comment and all that for him.
It's kind of sad that he only has 10 people in his chat.
Well,
everybody got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and if you're a flat earther, you can't expect your money. Look at the effort Nathan puts in. You know what I mean? You get the average of 100. You know, unless you're with it and you're saying ether exists and all this other rubbish, then you'll have 600 in your chat.
And don't forget, Whitson and them, we don't know about them. Seems like they were promoted by who knows who.
Well, they definitely get more success than Nathan without putting in the same effort, so I don't know. I see some people online here and there, different topics, you know, that I outside of flat earth that I would subscribe to, different things, right? And if people complaining about how they're being held back by YouTube and this, that, and everything, and they're looking at them and they're like, they have like 70,000 subscribers and stuff, and kind of going, no, you're doing okay. They might be holding you back a bit.
Yeah, people probably say the same thing about me when I'm like, look how censored I am. You type in my name and a list of Simon Dan videos appears. People are like, you've got 25 odd thousand subscribers. You're doing all right. I've only got 3,000 or I've only got 900.
Yeah, but that's maybe within the arena, but you should have 250,000. You know what I mean? Not 25,000, Nathan, is the point. I mean, like other topics and other people, and generally YouTube will make it difficult on people. They just make people work for their success. But some people, no matter how hard you work, they're going to give you the least of success that they can. You know what I mean? They're doing the best to not give you success. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that my videos are awesome or anything like that. I'm not trying to self-promote. But my videos are at least good enough and have enough videos up over enough number of years. So I should have at least more than 2,000 subscribers when I don't even have 2,000 subscribers. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the statistics don't match up, kind of thing. You know? No, I can't. Somebody can't be on YouTube that amount of time and be consistent with the videos and all the rest of it, and them have that lower subscriber base. Even if they're bad, even someone who's bad will have a higher subscriber base than that. So saying, "Oh, you must be no good," is not a comeback, because even people who are no good have better subscribers bases. If you know what I mean.
Like today, like Planet Peterson, he's outgrown Nathan, and he's only been around about 12 months.
Yeah,
and what he's putting out is terrible, production-wise and content-wise.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Even if I started the Globe channel, I'd destroy him because I know what I'm talking about concerning the Globe. Any of us would. We all understand that better than the likes of Peterson. So technically, he's the worst. Do you know what I mean? But he's not even good when it comes to his own thing. But no, give him 50 million subscribers, as Nathan would say.
Why do you think Jaron went to the other side so he could have more subscribers?
Who knows why he did that? Because he was doing more okay as he was. He just ruined it. But then again, maybe he was always meant to do that. Let's just say, hypothetically, he was just a YouTuber. Hypothetically. Now, I don't think he was or is. But if he was, he just ruined he ruined his popularity. So maybe that would cause someone to do that. But, you know, other than that...
It's temporary. He's going to get promoted now. He'll be up in the millions soon when he promotes the Globe.
I don't think so, though. Randy tried that. It went to him. Any of the flat earthers who went over there, they got pats on the back for the first 2 weeks, and they were forgotten about. They're not going to promote them. They're not going to promote Jaron or Randy like they would one of their own. They're not going to do it. Even the likes of YouTube won't do it. So I don't think he will. That will happen for him. If that was his plan, if that happens, then it's YouTube or some other powers outside of just subscribers. YouTube itself, you know, doing these kind of things, promoting them. Because any of the flat earthers that went over there, they actually ended up with less success. Randy, you never hear of them anymore. Rachel went over that side. I mean, did she gain loads of subscribers and did her, you know, is she suddenly able to live off of YouTube? No. Not that I'm aware of. So I don't think it works. Even if someone wants to be like that, wants to do that. I think you need to start fresh in the arena as a Glober, you know, I think, for it to work. Could be wrong, but I've yet to see evidence of a flat earther going over that side and it not ending up just nowhere. They don't like it.
I'm getting updates on the snail encounter that my youngest daughter's had, so I'm sorry.
A snail encounter. Clover has encountered a snail.
Yeah, she encountered a snail that she was told by her mother to put back. She named it Slimy and put it on a flower, apparently. So I'm told.
A snail?
A snail.
Oh, my turtle would love that.
Was this outside?
This isn't news. Let's move on. The snail's not that everyone wants to know about your snail, clothes.
Yeah, well, I think...
Oh, are you speaking to the mic? Tell everyone about your snail. What was his name?
Slimy.
Slimy the snail.
Yeah, and when I go back outside, I'm going to give it a piece of my orange.
You're going to give him a bit of orange?
Yeah.
Well, now everyone's updated.
Yeah, but I want to introduce Slimy to my turtle.
Can you ask her to look for a model while she's outside?
She looked. I looked earlier.
She sounds so precious. My goodness. Slimy the snail. How stinking cute.
And she's going to give him some of our orange.
I'll tell her off for wanting to waste orange.
Hopefully snails can eat orange. It doesn't kill it instantly.
Well, I'm glad this has been the subject change that it's been. It was definitely worthy. We could have been talking about microphones.
No, the snail needs a flat Earth. You can't traverse a globe.
Snails always slow down the conversation.
Good one.
You know, your point the other night, Nathan, was very pertinent concerning Wolfie. Because it was 4 years ago, I had that in a video addressing him, right? And the truth is, I didn't give it the thought you gave. He has to be lying. Well, I did at the time, but I didn't realize that's not true because I did at the time there in the video. But he has to realize that the Earth is flat, because when he said in that video, of course the plane has to pitch down. Him being a pilot, knowing he doesn't do that. That doesn't happen. He does not pitch down. That means that he knows it's flat. He just doesn't like it. He hates the idea. He hates it, but he knows it. Like most of the rest of them, like Peterson, Planet Peterson doesn't know it's flat. I don't think he has the intellect in some ways or understanding to get to that point. Someone else is going to have to tell him that. Do you know what I mean? But some of them they're smart enough to know. Like Ruhif knows. Right? Ruhif knows. He's constantly addressing a flat Earth and using flat Earth stuff. He knows. He knows it's flat. He doesn't like it, but he knows. Wolfie knows.
Yeah, that's why I call it the awful truth.
Yeah. What was that? How was it described? Remember that famous astrophysicist, was it? Or astronomer. Remember he talked about Earth being at the center of all, was like the horror of a unique position.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember the exact term, but it's something like the horror, the unique horror of it, or something like
that. Edwin Hubble.
Yes, Edwin Hubble was. Edwin Hubble. Yeah, the horror of a unique, something like the horror of a unique
a favored location.
Yes. Well, it's a horror, isn't it? It's like a horror for some of the borders.
Well, it's because that this whole, and you're going to love this, Brian, this paradigm of a globe Earth has really given some people like an identity in this worldview that they believe in. So their identity is too mixed up with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what you're saying is that they're too ingrained in that paradigm that they can't. Their public identity and everything is connected to it, and they can't leave. They can't switch over. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, or they could. I'm not saying that they can't, but that's why they are the way that they are, the way we see how it seems so silly to us that they don't get it, they don't grasp it, but it's because their identity's so hung up in it. And also, we're at fault in some cases for having the curse of knowledge bias.
Define the course of knowledge bias for us, please.
When you can't understand why someone doesn't get like a topic that you understand fully as well as you, when you explain it to them because of your good understanding, you think that they'll be able to swap right over and get it, but they can't, because they don't have the type of knowledge and the journey of acquiring that knowledge that you have.
I see what you mean. Yes, of course.
So you speak to them assuming that they know as much as you do.
Exactly. Yes. It's called the curse of knowledge bias. And we, as flat earthers on our side, tend to have that cognitive bias.
Yeah, we're expecting them to understand something as simply and clearly as we do. And when we relate to them, they go against it. And it makes no sense to us why you're going against it, because it's just facts. But the problem is that whether they could understand it or not, they're going to make a point of not understanding it because they don't want to understand it. As Refracted calls it, an appeal for ignorance as opposed to an appeal to ignorance. They're appealing for ignorance. They want to keep the ignorance, because that is where they feel safe. It's a kind of a safe space, I suppose, in some ways, intellectually.
But also, you got to remember that the reason why you so fully understand a subject is because of the journey that you went through acquiring all of the knowledge that accumulated to where you are now.
Yeah, yes, that's true. They wouldn't have taken that journey, so they wouldn't have gotten to that point. But at the same time, on top of that, they don't want to take the journey. As in, it's not going to be a case of you're trying to tell them now and they don't get it, and they need to take the journey and come back, and they will get it in a year's time, 2 years' time, whenever. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to be the same in 2 years' time because they're going to make a point of not taking that journey, not learning those things, not accepting what's true. And this is the problem we have. They are not interested in the acceptance of what's true.
You're always treading that fine line of proclaiming that you can divine their thoughts. Like you're on the thin, fine line of claiming that you can read their minds.
Well, I would say that I can predict their responses and their directions due to having so much experience dealing with them. I can understand what they're not going to do and why they're not going to do it. Because I mean, you don't need to have a crystal ball. You don't need to predict. You don't need to be able to read their minds to be able to predict the direction they're going to take when you have a bit of experience with them. Like I'm not unique in that. Now, I can understand it being seen as me divining their thoughts. So if people want to say it that way, then okay, I'll accept that. Yeah, you can say, Brian, you think you can divine their thoughts. Well, I can get it pretty correct 95% of the time, if not more than 95%.
Okay, Beyonce. Are you feeling yourself? Are you feeling yourself?
Well, what I stated to you earlier,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I know. Well, just for brevity, what I stated to you a few minutes ago before you said that, do you think that I would be wrong in stating that?
No, I think that you have experience with these types, and you consistently have experience with them. So I'm not trying to downplay your ability to know when someone's just being so obtuse because they don't want to see your point of view, that you're trying to explain a subject to them, and you can tell that they're like pushing back on what you're presenting as reality. I get it, and I'm not trying to downplay that, like I said, but yeah,
No, I don't think you are.
I still think that there's a fine line there that you're just treading it so gracefully.
Yeah, I am. I hold my hands up with that. Yeah, I am. I do tend to come across as if I'm divining their thoughts. But they make it easy because they're so predictable. They keep doing the same thing. Like the journey you talked about earlier, about I can't remember how you worded it. It's like having a bias because you have knowledge.
The curse of knowledge bias. It's a cognitive bias. Yeah. No, you're fine.
Curse of knowledge bias. They are not going to take that journey. So it's not even that they're not going to understand you today. They're going to make a point of not understanding you today and make a point of not understanding you in 3 years' time as well. Because as soon as they start understanding you, that means everything must change. So they have to fight against you immediately because it's either that or accept that they're wrong and what they've believed is wrong. And if it's like a jumper with a thread, a wool jumper with a thread coming out of it. Once they pull one thread, that jumper is disappearing, bit by bit by bit. And they have to pretend that that thread is not there. So you don't, in fairness, to come across as if not me, but anyone is on our side is defining their thoughts. It's not a hard thing to do because you know the response you're going to get. You don't need much experience in the arena even. Once you're in let's say around the Discord servers and that, you don't need much experience in there or to spend only a few months in there to realize, if you're honest with yourself, these people are not they're going to give the same response every time, whether it's now or 20 years into the future. Well, I can't say 20 years, but we'll say a bit of time into the future, they're going to give the same response. Because I said it before, it's not until it's on the nightly news that the earth is flat before these people will start accepting it. Sorry.
Well, Will Duffy said it himself to Wolfie, I'm here to refute everything that Flat Earths have to say. So, and that's when Adam made the joke, well, we like your suit. So you can refute us over the basic things that we all agree on. So he's not here for truth as he first claimed to be. He's just here to argue with us.
Yeah, he's not here for. See, this is the thing. You couldn't even call what's happening in this arena a debate because we're trying to bring forth, information that's based on factual reality, and they're trying to promote a religious paradigm. So it's a completely bizarre situation. But they're disguising what they're promoting as not being a religious paradigm. They're trying to stay. It's a massive straw man in a way because they're trying to promote that as if it's reality, and make us to be out. Give the public the impression that we're the people with a religious paradigm when it's actually the complete opposite. You know what I mean? It's a bizarre situation. So is it a debate? As it was, as Kiwi says, there is no debate. Yeah, from a geometric point of view and everything, no debate. From physics point of view, no debate. But there is a debate going on, and it's not maybe what we all think it is. It's some other thing.
Hey, Flatsy, he isn't straight on the line. He's done a full friggin' face plant into the drained cement pond.
I was waiting on you to pop up.
Flatsy was saying the same thing, but in a more diplomatic way.
Yeah, just kind of bringing it to your attention, but I didn't mean to, did I?
No, I've been accused of that in the past.
I didn't mean to quieten the room, though. Sorry.
So I missed the Ball Busters on Saturday. Did you
No.
get any? Yeah, I did. Curie, you didn't notice? Oh,
And
did we get any better in the second half?
it was just about the same train wreck it was in the first. We did catch him out with a direct contradiction from 8 years ago.
Really? Which one?
He made a. Why do I always have to update you?
You don't have to. I did it earlier today with Neil deGrasse Tyson. They contradict each other. He said he could see curvature 100% while he's flying.
No, that wasn't the one.
Thanks, Neil, for the false
There's another
updates.
one, but I was talking about that one.
Why would you talk about that one when that one wasn't the one I was talking about?
Because that's the one we were talking about earlier.
What time are we going to do the book? A couple of hours' time?
How does that have anything to do with what Chocolate said?
Go on, I'll talk in a minute.
Is that a couple of hours?
Give you a couple. I can hear that wry smile on your face.
We're doing something different today, Nick.
Wait, so let me connect this real quick. So the pilot that you were talking about, Neil, earlier was Wolfie? That's what you were talking about?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that. What a moron.
Yeah. That's not a good one. Yeah.
You gotta start throwing in the guns after that.
Yeah.
That's better.
Is there a part 3?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Cool.
How long
With
is
that,
that?
I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.